Hello my Vikings, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be painting this Sorceress for the Cities of Sigmar. We're going to start things off with some Gilman Flesh, one of the contrast paints from Games Workshop. And this is going to go over all of the upper torso, the arms, and the upper sections of the legs, since those are exposed. Now I'm getting a pretty good coat on here, and we're going to wipe away some of that so that it's not as heavy. While that's drying, we're going to do some Magos Purple, another contrast paint, on the inside of the cloak and the front of her tunic. And then we're going to follow it up with some Shyish Purple on the outside. This will give a nice contrast between the two, kind of giving the impression of a inside and outside, maybe reversible kind of clothing. And then we're going to use some black Templar contrast on her boots. Looking back, I should have painted this section first and then done some touch-ups so that I wouldn't have to be as worried about spillover onto her legs. So now we're going to dry brush on some Pallid Witch Flesh all over her skin tones. This is going to lighten it up a lot and just kind of give her that high elf or elven kind of skin tone and features. And we're going to finish that off with a little bit of White Scar done as a dry brush. This will kind of help with the edges and the highlights of her kind of skin areas to kind of really sell that pale elf look. So now we're going back to the black Templar, and we are going to use it on her hair. Just kind of a full all-over coat. So occasionally during this paint, you'll see my hands shake just a little bit, or I'll pause for a slightly longer period of time than I usually do. Pro tip, do not watch or listen to a Comedy Central special while you are painting. It is not a good combination, and you will definitely wish that you didn't do it after the fact. Funny like crazy during, but not so good for the painting. I ended up doing a second coat on the boots though. I wanted them to be a lot darker than the black Templar originally dried at. So now we're going to use a much finer tip brush and some Retributor armor, and we are going to paint all of her, well, for lack of a better name, her bikini mail. Now I'm glad I switched to this smaller brush because this is nothing but fine detail work, and a larger brush would have just made a complete mess of this. And given that I've already dry brushed twice onto this model, I do not want to have to go back and do it again. Now we're going to do her headdress in the same color. And we'll darken this up with a wash later. Alright, so now we're going to dry brush on some Dawnstone, and we're going to do this on her boots and her cloak and a little bit on the hair. This will soften the deepness of the black coloration and just kind of give a little bit of depth to the model. So now I'm going to paint her staff in Wildwood. I went back and forth a lot on the coloration for the staff, and I figured a wooden staff would probably be best. We're going to top it off with some lead belcher on the kind of pointy section of the staff. We're also going to use it to touch up the handle on her little knife and the strap connecting the front and back of her clothes. So now, looking back, I really kind of wish I hadn't done this. We're going to use some Abaddon Black for edge highlighting on kind of all of the Retributor armor. And I really wish that I hadn't done this. I went a little crazy with it. You can't quite see it on the onset, but once everything is done with washes, it just kind of stands out a little too much. And now we're going to coat her clothing in null oil. And we're also going to use it very lightly on all of the Retributor armor. So now we're going to touch over all of her skin tones with some Gilman Flesh shade. This will just kind of give a little bit of depth to it and kind of help tie everything together. And I'm going to do a very light dry brushing of Retributor armor on the top of the staff just to kind of give it a two-tone look, and then follow it up with a null oil wash on her hair. And here we are with the finished piece. Alright, so this has been the Sorceress, one of the Cities of Sigmar hero units. This was a lot of fun to paint and kind of a learning process. So please hit that like button, comment in the comments section, subscribe for future content, and we will see you next time. Remember everyone, victory or Valhalla.